Okay. Thank you, Janet. I'll open it up for comments. Dave, before you get up, I have a speaker card. I'll take that speaker card first. Mr. Bernheim.
William Bernheim, I run a business at 255 North Lincoln Street. And many of you already know, but welcome. I think you've got a tough job. I'm here because, well, basically two things. One, I don't think you have the information to make any kind of decision or evaluation. Shortly after the September meeting, I wrote to the city manager, and I had looked up the consumer price index change, which was 52%. This is not magic. It's available on the internet. It should have been at that meeting. It should be here today. When I went through and tried to figure out what these increases were, they don't add up to 52%. If you saw, and I'm not here to argue about a $300 fee, but buried in here are thousands and thousands of dollars. If we're going to get out, well, if we don't want development in this town, it doesn't matter what these fees are. And one of the things I asked for was, how much development has happened in the last 6 months? How many dollars in user fees have been generated, both under the actual ones that you're now using and the ones that are proposed here? That's something I'd want to know if I were sitting in your seat. Secondly, you've got a very small comparison with two of the towns nearby, not all of them, and certainly not a comprehensive comparison where you say, let's take $1 million building. Let's take Dr. Sanderson's dental office. Let's take the Dixon Professional Building. What would it cost to build a 13,000 square foot building in this town and produce some jobs? Because that's what we're talking about. What is the fee if you're going to do that? For example, and I'm concerned about this, if one encroaches on the public right-of-way, it's on the third page.
You're looking at the smaller
exhibit,
of the two handouts.
Yeah, attachment B.
Okay.
Inspection of construction in public right-of-way. For example, if you had $1 million, let's say someone's going to make a $500,000 improvement in the public right-of-way. That's a benefit to the public. That's being done privately, but it's an encroachment, $500,000. Well, under the old system, you'd pay $5,000 for the first $100,000, and on the second $400,000, you'd pay 4%, which would be $16,000, a total of $21,000. What is being proposed? Well, on that, you're going to pay $35,000 if I've got this on the first $500,000. So that's a $14,000 increase. Now, that's not inflation. That's not the cost of the city of doing that. And in fact, you're simply saying, we're going to hold you up. We're going to make you pay an extra $14,000. And I understand that you got to balance budgets. But if you want development in this town, it's got to make some sense. Because if you're going to be a businessman and you're going to decide what you're going to do, you're going to compare what's happening. And I can't make that decision. I don't have enough information here. You know, when I ask my staff to do something, I expect them to do an honest job and be both the plus and the minus. What I'd like to see, because I'd like to be able to sit down, I spent some time looking at all these fees. Okay, let's go $1 million project. Okay, Dr. Sanderson's office. I'm just saying a dental office. You're talking 4 suites. What that costs to build now. Let's say you spend $1 million on your building. Well, that little 1.154 is another $1,500 you're going to have to put out. I didn't go through all of these, but that's the kind of analysis you have to have before you blanketly approve something like this. With all due respect, I like Mr. Caldwell, I like Mr. Archer, and Mr. Scholl I don't know very well. But they certainly were not looking at this in what I call a formal or intelligent way, which is to take a sample of $1 million building. What are you paying now? What would you have to pay under this new rule? And without that, you're not making an intelligent decision. You're simply going from the gut. And I don't think that's what we need to do in these difficult times. and I gave you a letter. I hope you take the time to read it. I hope I kept it short. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bernheim. Mr. Scholl?